All right.
What's popping? What's popping?
What's everybody doing? How's everybody feeling today? I got my boys on today.
Is it humble or pHumble?
So here we go. That's funny because a lot of my guests have this dilemma with it. I came up with the idea as fumble. But yeah, pHumble, because that lowercase p, it works both ways because the P is meant to be for Pej, and then the capital H is meant to be for humble, humility, and just that was really what inspired me to start this thing. But before I get into that, let me tell the guest who's on today. You guys saw it on my whiteboard. It's I got the Minorities. A lot of you might know them. They've blown up on YouTube more than once, and we're going to talk about that. So Zeb and Jason are on with me today. Thanks for joining, guys.
Appreciate you having us.
Yeah, of course. So Fumble, man, I came up with that idea honestly like in the middle of the night. I don't sleep much anyway. Like I just woke up because I was thinking of the name because I wanted to do this shit for like 3 years.
What's going on with your sleep schedule, Paige?
Hey, man.
What got you up all night? You stressing?
Hey, you know what? I'm trying to blow up like you guys, so that's part of it. But I mean, genetically, my whole family's like that, dude. My dad, my sister, like we all struggle with sleeping. Now, my wife has no clue because she'll sleep through a earthquake. Like she doesn't wake up from anything. We got 2 cats, we got a dog. I'm a light sleeper. Like a cricket 3 miles away, I can hear it. Like it's bad. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. But the blessing of it is I came up with the title to this podcast one of those nights. Anyway, enough about that. So Fumble podcast kind of play on the word humble, and that's kind of in the approach. There's comedy involved in this. There's learning involved in this. And I bring all types of people, all walks of life. The goal is to just learn and try to get in the minds. And I should tell everybody that's listening, first of all, hit that subscribe button. Fumble podcast. You know what to do. Smash the bell so you don't miss an episode or any content from Pej the Maniac. Speaking of Pej the Maniac, follow me on all my socials that are here on the screen. Yeah.
Quick question. Is this live or is it just recording and then you edit?
No. So this is people that are hearing this now. It's gonna be pre-recorded, but they're gonna be hearing this. It's Tuesday right now, right? So it's gonna be it's a week from today, technically. So I'm gonna get all the graphics on here, and then it's gonna be So people are seeing everything.
Oh, they can see it right now?
I'm saying people are gonna see it when they see it, but right now when we're talking, it's not on the screen yet. You're giving away all my secrets, man. No, it's man. I enjoyed editing this stuff, so it's fun for me. But we will get together in person again with Uncle Luke. You know,
we gotta make it happen. We gotta link in person for sure.
Hell yeah. So I don't want to keep you guys too long. The main reason I wanted you on for people who don't know, Zeb's uncle is Lucas, who's been on here. And that dude just got married. And so congrats to him. You all probably saw that on my posts on my Pej the Maniac pages. But I hadn't seen Zeb since he was a little youth. And I was hooping him up then, and he thinks he can beat me now. But yeah, so anyway, I hadn't seen him for how long was it? Like 8 years?
It's been a minute. It's been more because 8 years. I'm 25 now. 8 years I was like in high school. Like I think like middle school, like 11, 12, probably like 12 years, 15.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Something like that.
So man. So we connected at Lucas's wedding, and then we got to talking, and he started telling me about. We started talking about relationships. So I was like, all right, this needs to happen on the podcast, and bring your boy Jason. So Jason, I want to hear about you first. Enough about Zeb. I want to hear about how you guys met, first of all, how long you've been friends, and what got you guys to start this Minorities channel. By the way, I'm a minority too, if anyone cares.
Oh yeah, all good, all good. So we met at Sheldon High School. It was either I think it was
Bandits. We was the bandits.
Bandit Boy Sandbox Bandit. So basically we met on that football field. You know, sports can bring a lot of men together.
That's true.
I was the quarterback, he was the receiver. D2 All-State Championships.
Raw. Killing the game.
Dang, bro. All right.
So that's how we connected, and then
just two competitors. We was the best on the team. We're the best in our class, and you know, typically the best they tend to kind of.
It's like Dwayne Wade, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, LeBron. The best always got to click up.
Yeah,
for sure. I get it.
So fast forward to making the YouTube channel. Basically, we were just kicking it, going to the gym, just fucking around. And then one day we were just like, fuck it, let's go to Jack in the Box, get some tacos, and just record it. Let's see who can eat the most tacos. Competitive.
Yeah, so, bad idea. Yeah.
So originally that was like the very first video we ever did. And then after that, we just decided, hey, let's link up 2-3 times out the week, record something, let's just blog, do something. And so that was basically how it originally started.
Hell yeah, man.
We was big on you watched the Hodge twins?
YouTube the Hodge twins? No, I don't. Tell me about them.
At the time, it's basically a workout channel, and we was working out a lot, and that was a YouTube channel. We used to talk about just a lot of stuff, but YouTube was one of the things we would talk about a lot. And so that also kind of planted the seed of like, well, we could try just kind of shooting our own little videos. And at first, a lot of like our high school friends kind of gravitated towards our videos and enjoyed them. And that kind of was an inspiration. Plus, we enjoyed making them. But we kind of, you know, our local friends enjoyed watching them. We enjoyed making them. And then we just continued to kind of created a.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And when did you guys come up with the name Minority?
Like how many years ago?
Yeah, when was that? Like who came up with it?
It was you. You remember that with Devon?
Yeah, we were at Denny's, another late night, just kicking it, boys type shit, and
I know specifically where all these spots are at too.
Yeah, so the Denny's on Elk Grove Boulevard.
Exactly.
Very familiar. Yeah. We were just fucking around, just saying random shit, and then it was Ask a Minority, and then boom, the Minorities, it just clicked.
I think it was Ask a Light Skin first. But we had then you were like, minority is a little bit more, everybody can relate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was probably like end of 2015, beginning of 2016, around that time.
Nice, man. Yeah. It's easy to remember. It's a catchy name.
Yeah.
And it definitely brings I think it's a good way to get a click, honestly, because just seeing that, like myself, I mean, I learned that Zeb had blown up before I had seen your guys' shit, but then I didn't know what you guys were called or anything. I was just looking it up through Zeb's name, and then Lucas never answered.
I find out that I blew up.
Your mom. Well, your mom talked to my parents, right? And then my because they all live in the same community, and so anyway, then my sister was like, "Oh, you heard Zeb blew up?" I was like, man, that's the shit I'm trying to do. And then I went and I started looking it up. I talked to Lucas after like 5-6 years because him and I were doing our own thing for a while. Mm-hmm. And then I figured it out. Then I got the name from him, and then I looked it up. But yeah, so the graphics is tight, and all of that will be. I'll put all that on here too. But yeah, so what was the first video that blew up? Like, got like viral? And did you start on YouTube or did you start on other platforms at first?
The first viral video was on Twitter. And I don't know if you remember, there was a quick little video called Damn Daniel.
Yeah.
With fans.
Yeah.
We did a remake, but it was with Jason. And he was known, especially like in high school, he had like these sandals that he would always use. And so we did a remake, Damn Jason, back at it again with the sandals.
I remember that.
Yeah, that blew up on Twitter. And that was our very first time ever like blowing up and like going viral. That went viral on Twitter. And then like literally the next week we got on World Star Hip Hop. One of our videos got posted on World Star. So it was like within a couple weeks, we kind of were getting momentum. But at the time, we only had like probably that kind of drew some traffic to our channel, but we only gained about 4,000 subscribers. But for us, it felt like a lot, you know.
Of course, yeah. That's crazy, man. So now I know your YouTube channel recently got shut down, and then you had to restart the process. How's that? How many headaches did that cause?
A bunch. Tragic.
Man.
Tragic.
It's and they keep changing the rules, right? Isn't that another thing? You gotta like always be reading their shit.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with YouTube, but it was just random. We just woke up and our whole account was gone.
Damn. So what do you do? Do you guys start another one and just try to get all the fans to come over? This is the second time or third time?
Second time.
Yeah, they post some wild shit on there, guys. So yeah, go watch it. It's entertaining, to say the least. But
Appreciate it.
So man, we talked about your relationship with me. Now your guys' relationship. Let's talk about this whole relationship with girls, because you were talking to me at the wedding of all places. About what your thoughts are in relationship. Now it's interesting. I listened to it with an open mind, but I want to kind of recap it, and I want to get Jason's input on it too. But so you're in a you have a traditional relationship right now yourself, and then now let's just start it from there. What are your thoughts on what
relationships? Just relationships in general?
No, relationship with, as far as a girl and a guy. Just
like in general, just relationship?
Yeah, like what your thoughts are on it. More than friends. More than friends is what I'm trying to talk about.
Yeah, just a regular relationship?
Yeah. Just tell me what your thoughts are, how you were telling me at the wedding. Don't get shy.
I think, one thing we mentioned at the wedding, I was discussing, because there was that book I had read, and we talked about it, or I had mentioned it, you might remember on Trevor's podcast. But I remember at the wedding we mentioned, I was like, there's two kind of ingredients to a relationship: love and lust.
Mm-hmm.
And what the book had said, which was to me was kind of an interesting perspective that I never really thought about, but it was basically emphasizing how lust is the most important ingredient in a relationship, but we've been kind of raised to think that love should be the foundation. And basically it was like, gave a couple examples of like, you know, a guy will love his wife, but then cheat on her because of the lust he had for his next door neighbor, or a girl will love her husband, but cheat because of the lust she had for a celebrity or the lust she had for a coworker. And he was the dude who wrote the book. He's like a counselor, and he does like marriage counseling and stuff. And he's like, you know, when people come in, it's never like the love that's lost, but it's always like, how do we get the spark again? How do we get things going to how they used to be? And they're always, basically it's a lack of lust. The lust kind of loses, and that's typical in like a long-term relationship. The more you get familiar, you're hanging out all the time, it's easy to kind of lose that lust. And that was kind of what the book was about, is like how to keep that spark alive. That's like the $1 million question.
Yeah.
It's easy, like not necessarily easy, but I think it's a little easier to keep the love alive, as far as just you're attached to this person, you genuinely care about this person. But how do you keep that desire alive? And that's pretty much what the book was about.
Yeah. So how did you use that in your own life?
So this is just something I've always just kind of been conscious of. And like, typically when I first will interact with a girl, typically the relationship is strictly just desire.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, feelings might come later.
Yeah.
But I think even when the feelings come, a lot of times, like the book was mentioning, but it's like you can kind of lose the lust component. So I just always been kind of conscious of like trying to maintain both elements are in the relationship, keeping both of those ingredients in the relationship.
Yeah.
Not lacking on either side. And I really feel like if you really keep the lust alive, she'll keep the love alive.
Yeah.
Like if you come with as the guy, like if you just keep that part alive, like the love will take care of itself. But,
all right. So
what you thinking? You kind of disagree or what?
No, I don't listen. I'm here like I because we were talking about like what the ideas are on open relationships, right? Because there was like we were talking about polygamy, right?
Yeah.
So like me personally, I can't do that. Like, you know, trying to keep my wife happy is hard enough. Trying to keep multiple girls happy.
What about if you didn't have to keep other people happy? It was just you keep your wife happy, and then if something else happens, it just happens. You couldn't do that?
I just couldn't do that, man. I don't know. It's just to me, well, first of all, I think if I put my 25-year-old hat on, since that was 11 years ago, like if I'm trying to think like that, what I thought in my 20s, I didn't date much, like in high school and then out of high school, like in college, I started dating. Mm-hmm. It was more like, for me, it was, I guess I was more naive. I'll be honest. I was more naive about
just relationships and
just like relationships in general. Yeah, because I didn't really like have anyone to emulate like, in my like upbringing. Like I didn't really see anybody like that.
Yeah, older uncles or cousins.
Yeah, that like I had one uncle who dated, but it was always one and then done, one and done, right? So it wasn't like the whole idea of polygamy or just like multiple partners and stuff. Like it wasn't even a thing in my mind. So for me, it was just like one girl date, and then you try to make it work, right? And then if it doesn't work, obviously you move on. But so that's kind of how I spent my 20s, and then I met my wife at 28 and got married at 29. So, but so I never even entertained the idea of like open relationship or love and lust and all that. But I got no secrets. Like her and I are now married. We've known each other 7 years. We've been married 6. And as far as a monogamous relationship, yeah, there's definitely challenges. Like you mentioned, right? Like the love is there, but that the lust or just other areas like responsibilities of like maintaining the finances, maintaining the home, maintaining the pets, eventually wanting kids, all of that, like, and then having my own career aspirations, and she's like in a completely different field than I am. All of that will eventually can cause some disagreements, right?
Yeah.
Which is normal. Any relationship will have issues like that. The key is that I'm learning now is how do we prioritize each other, right? And this is
a team. It's a team.
It's a team, and communication. So this is where when you and I talked on, and I want to hear Jason too. I don't want you to be sitting here as a spectator, but I want to hear your opinion on it. But we talked about communication is everything, and that's something I didn't learn in my 20s. I didn't learn communication. Right? I didn't have anyone that really, any guys in my family that really communicated well, or even women at that rate. Like I didn't really see it or pay attention to it. So that was always a struggle. And so now her and I are working on that. Like we try to talk about everything. Like you don't keep anything in here, right? Because the minute we do,
that's how resentment and stuff gets built.
See, and that's something I didn't have in my 20s. Like you're woke as fuck. Like you're like realizing this stuff in your 20s. I didn't have that. Yeah. And so that's why it was intriguing to talk about this stuff. But Jason, what are your thoughts on this?
On relationships?
Yeah.
Oh man, I think it's a beautiful thing. I really, really do. But the world nowadays is, everything's just so mixed up. And how I was brought up and what I saw was my grandparents were married, my parents were married, my aunts, uncles married, kids, same guy, same girl. So it's like, that's what I grew up seeing. So ever since Zeb has known me, I've always had a girlfriend. I've been in a relationship more years than I've been single. So I gravitate more towards a one-on-one thing. I gravitate more towards an intimacy thing. Because really, like in my personal life, let's use them as hoes. Hoes, I'm not intimate with girls like that. I'm not kissing and spending the night and all that lovey-dovey cute shit. I'm not doing that with just regular girls. That's specifically a girlfriend thing. And I like those things. So when you like those things, you kind of, me personally, I gravitated more towards that. And when I was younger, I looked up to my dad so much that in my head, and still in my head to this day, it's like the one thing in this world that I really want to be is a great father. Mm-hmm. That's like the number one thing. Like I really can't wait till I have kids because I know what my dad meant to me, and I want to mean the same thing to my kids. So that's one thing that I really want to strive for greatness for. And eventually when that time comes, I'll do what I got to do to make sure that happens. But the main thing is to find the right woman to do that with, because it's not a one-man job. It's two people that are parents, not just one. So in terms of relationships, yeah, for men, you got to find the right woman, and you got to make sure that the woman that you're with, you guys are on the same page in terms of how you want to go about having kids, what to do when parenting kids, even like the timeline when you guys want to have kids, who's going to be at work, who's going to be at home, all those kinds of things that are so big and so crucial. Because at the end of the day, the best thing that you can do for your kid is show them what a good relationship is. Because when a woman, when your daughter sees her mom getting mistreated, she thinks that's okay. Whether you know it or not, that's what she thinks is okay. Yeah. And for a boy, if you see your dad sleeping around with hella women, you think that's the thing to do. So me, I didn't see my dad sleeping around with hella women, so I don't think that's the thing to do. Yeah. Now we're men, so you're naturally gonna want to gravitate towards that, but it's all about impression. I was impressionable at a young age, so that's kind of what carried over to me.
Dude, my dad, the first girlfriend he had was my mom, and that's it. Like he believed in, like he was in the military. He came out of the military at like 20, 21, and he met my mom. Same religions, like their families already knew each other. They were set. That's what I grew up with, right? Did they have their problems? 100%. Like I knew from that, I learned that, all right, I need to date. Like I can't just marry the first chick I see, you know what I mean? So it was like, now obviously I didn't date the first girl knowing I'm going to like break up, but it was like, the experience was like invaluable, you know? So my upbringing, as far as like everyone being married that I knew, like that's kind of like similar to your experience. But so to me, like the idea of an open relationship, which I see it a lot. I see it, like I have friends who are in open relationships.
While married?
I've seen that. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's but I think the world is changing, and it's changing fast. Like I think that just seeing that, like Jason said, like it was probably something they saw growing up, right? So that's probably why it's okay with them. And that,
not to cut you off, my fault, but I think an important thing too that he mentioned was like being on this, just like you kind of mentioned too, the communication of like being on the same page with a lot of stuff. Yeah. A lot of people get in relationships and it's like, oh, just because, you know, we have a fun time together and I'm attracted to you, let's be in a relationship. But it got to be, you know, y'all should be on the same page on a lot of stuff before you even think about, you know, taking each other's. A lot of people, I feel like, are just so casual with relationships, and they treat it just so frivolously.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than like, that's a big deal, you know, who you end up having families with. And that's why today's society, there's so many broken homes. It's because it's like they just have fun together. Then a kid ends up happening. And then it's like, we were never compatible to begin with. So, you know, the likeliness of us raising the kid together was never likely because we never were even compatible as far as a relationship. We just were having fun.
Yeah.
So
I'm paranoid as hell about kids, man. I was telling you too. I was like, we this is our 6 years married.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
How old is she?
She's 33. So there's a clock there. There's definitely a clock there for sure. Yeah. Now we have explored the idea of, you know, freezing the eggs and all that, because that's an option now, right? So there's I mean, my best friend, his mom was 40 when she had him. So I mean, yeah. So like, it's I'm not.
Is he an only child?
He's the only child from his parents, yeah. But they both had previous marriages.
That's another thing too. Depending on how many kids you want, like the time is ticking. You know what I mean?
I know. See, like what Jason, what you said about like you want kids, like you're ready, right? Like I didn't even think like that in my 20s. I was just like, I mean, I want to get. My biggest thing was to get married before 30, right? And so I did that at 29. Could we have waited longer to sort some shit out before we actually like committed? And we were in a long distance relationship, right? And so that was another. So like she moved here from Virginia, and it was all on Zoom like this. Like we were dating like.
How often were you guys talking like on Zoom? Like every night?
Every night. I was waking up at 4 a.m. to wake her up for her 7 a.m. to go to work. And so that explains why I don't sleep. So
that is a computer girlfriend.
I had to basically like, you see that it felt like that for a while, but then obviously she moved here. So
how long were you guys long distance?
I want to say 7 months.
7 months.
How many years, or how long did you know her prior before the 7 months?
So that's a whole story in itself. We were on Facebook, like we were Facebook friends, without knowing how the other one was, how we were friends until like 4 years into our marriage, we figured it out. And we went to the same Sunday school as kids.
You figured it out 4 years later?
Yo, I'm not even joking. So like, she
Why
likes
were we friends on Facebook?
Exactly, but it was like that attraction was there, so we didn't really obsess about it too much. So we were just like, all right, we're connected physically, obviously, and then we were connected emotionally after a while. And neither of us wanted to date. We had just gone through a breakup that was rough, and neither of us, like, we talked to each other in a way like, let's just get to know each other. That's it. And then I flew over there, and I was like, I had a bunch of homies back there that I wanted to get together with, and she lived near them, and she knew some of them. I was like, let's make it happen. Let's like all get together. Little did I know, all of them were going to bail on me, and it ended up just being us two.
All the homies bailed?
Yo, one of them got pneumonia, and her husband got pneumonia, so they both couldn't come. And the other one was just, he bailed. I don't even remember why he bailed, but it was like 3 of them, and it was her. So for the longest time, she thought I was lying to her, like I bullshitted her.
Ended up,
to get her to show up. I was like,
okey doke.
I was like, if I wanted to actually take you on a date, it wouldn't be a Starbucks. I'll tell you that much. So yeah, it was but that's how it started. And then
when you were getting to know her, were you still dating around, or were all your eggs in that basket?
No, I wasn't even trying to date. That's the crazy.
Well, I mean, maybe not dating around, but like sleeping with other women. I guess.
No, I wasn't. It was I like you. I thought it should be a girlfriend in order to go to that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't want to just hook up and do all that. Like at this rate too, at this point I was like 26, 27. So, and again, at 24, my older brother-in-law, like he pulled me aside. He's like, you need to, because I wasn't doing anything. I was like kind of fucking up, not really taking life seriously. He pulls me aside. He's like, you got to get your shit together, get your job straight, and you got to be married before 30. And his words,
30. What's so big about before 30?
It's just to him. I don't even know if he knew how seriously I took that when he said it, because he was just trying to. What he was really doing was lighting that fire under my ass. To like take shit serious, like get your shit straight. I was still in college, like undeclared, didn't know what I want to major in still. So anyway, all of that sorted itself out. But so I took that as a challenge, because his words to my parents is like gospel. They take his words like it's everything. Which I don't know why. Like half the shit he says isn't even researched. So
He's the godfather in the family.
You said this is your older brother?
My older brother-in-law. So my sister's husband. So yeah, and so I did all that, right? Thinking I checked it off. But like I said, so we dated 5 months, and then I went and proposed. So it was like at this point I'm 28. Yeah.
How long until you met like the parents and stuff like that?
So that's the crazy part. That proposal, it's still online somewhere because I got it all recorded and shit. But it was.
That's when you met the parents.
I called him. I called her dad. I hadn't met him yet. I called her. I'd met him online. Like that was it.
Mm-hmm.
So her and I, like, this is now we're dating. We've connected. We had met a couple times. She had met my parents. And like our second date, I took her over to all my family lives in the East Coast, most of them. So like they're all in Maryland. So they had this barbecue, and I was hanging out with her. I was like, listen, come through. You don't want to, you come see it and you see like these guys, this is a crazy family. I'm leaving. I'm going back to Cali. Like I was leaving that night. I was like, you don't have to see me again. Like there's no like,
no pressure.
There's no pressure. So she took that and she decided to come, and then luckily she liked my family. And so it was all history after that. But so I hadn't met her family until I showed up for that surprise. I met most of them there right then and there. I called her dad. I thought that was the right thing to do. Asked for his blessing.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, he said, I remember his words. He said, yeah, that's fine under one condition. I was like, what's that? He's like, I can change my mind. I was like, fair, because he hadn't met me yet, so he didn't know who I was. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's fair. But so anyway, I showed up. I set it up with her dad. He threw a party like for a different reason for her, so that all the family was there. So she was under the impression it was for that. Yeah. And then I walked through the door, and then the video's up there. It's on
YouTube.
Yeah, it's on
your page.
It's not on my page, but I'll post it with this video, so I'll have it in the description.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So it was cool, man. She obviously she said yeah, and I was a hopeless romantic too. I was like, I did all like the romantic stuff, Justin Timberlake music and shit. Like I had it all going. Yeah. So we're both from that, right? So we both grew up. That's what I was saying. We went through the same Sunday school, but we had different groups of friends that had a couple friends that were mutual, and I think that's how we knew each other.
What are some of the stages you think you and your wife went through in terms of like, there was the puppy love, then there was we really got to sit down and learn who we are with each other, then maybe arguments come, and then all right, now we got to learn how to move past. What were like the stages of like, we all know it's good in the beginning, but how did it gravitate to where maybe it is to right now?
So yeah, man, it's so the honeymoon phase, right? That I want to say that lasted a pretty decent amount of time, 3 years maybe, right?
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It was really good.
With each other 3 years in a row.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was. But here's the thing. Again, my ignorance with communication, I was telling you, there was some things that I was seeing, and also the biggest difference between her and I is if she doesn't like something, she'll spit it out right then and there. She'll say it. Yeah. Like she doesn't sugarcoat it. She was very comfortable and blunt about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't used to that. I was always about like naively, especially in a relationship like that, you gotta be straight up. You can't hold shit in. Otherwise it just turns into resentment, or it turns into some sort of ammo for later. And then it doesn't even make sense when you're mad because she's like, what are you upset about? Like, and because you're like mad about 3 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're just gonna explode on her.
Yeah, exactly. So that was my issue, is I wouldn't say shit. And I thought, oh, I'm sacrificing, but that wasn't a sacrifice. That was actually detrimental to the relationship because I couldn't get over it instead, right? So that's what. So the 3 years lasted. The honeymoon phase was that long, and then we started to really.
After year 3, you unleashed all the ammo.
I would say I would say that, but here's the thing. It wouldn't even get solved because I didn't even know where to start, because I got like laundry list of shit that I'm upset about that
it's
I
just
didn't.
like little minor things that you just were bothering you.
But they kept coming up.
Yeah.
So then therefore.
So every time it happens, it just will keep bothering you, and then it just builds up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Happens, man. So, but again, she didn't have that experience because she would tell me.
Yeah, she was expressing herself.
Yeah. So she was in the right for that. Now we see couples counseling. We see all that. We did. I get my own therapist. Like, I'm very open about the mental health that goes with all this is huge. It's so huge, man. Even with the chick that you guys say that's the one, I'm going to marry her. You're going to have these things, and you guys are better. It seems from what I'm hearing, you guys are good at communicating. You don't have a problem with that. You'll draw your rule book right in the beginning. You'll let her know. I didn't even have a rule book. I didn't know what the rule books were because I didn't date that much. See, so that was my thing. So that's the challenges of not dating. So not dating as much. So anyway, year 4, we start to have some issues, and then arguments, and then the resentments would start, and then now I'm not looking. Now I'm not as excited about coming home, right? Like I'm like, I want to go hang out with my friends or my people. So, and then she would go like until this point we would take vacations together wherever we went, right?
She started taking vacations by herself.
But it was cool. It wasn't a trust issue. There's never been an issue with trust till her dad passed. Her dad passed in 2020. That's when shit really got rough because in 2020 there was pandemic. We were already seeing each other way too much because her dental office was closed, so she was home. And then her dad was sick, and she was like this with her dad. She was super close with her dad. So when he passed, in 5 months from his diagnosis to his passing, it was super fast.
COVID?
No, he got cancer.
It
was cancer, but no, he passed like at the peak of COVID when no one knew what the hell was going on with COVID. Like it was like a mystery to everybody. It still is, but so it was so dealing with her dad's loss. And then I said some things in the midst of the emotions of all that because I was helping her dad. So in my mind, I was thinking, "Hey, I'm doing all this, and you're being ungrateful, right?" But what she was looking for was more like me looking out for her, and I wasn't doing that. I was in my mind, I was looking out for her dad, which was looking out for her. So it was again not communicating. So it was all of this, and with add the emotions of losing a parent, it was rough. So 2020 into 21, I would say that was like the lowest we got, right? It was really bad. And then we start the couples counseling, and then all of a sudden we start to see the biggest savior for our relationship is the fact that we both are open to admitting when we're wrong. Like we were very defensive to each other, but we were open when we were seeing a professional. We were open to putting the ego aside, the pride aside, and be like, "Listen, I fucked up. I said some things. You did some things that weren't cool. If we really want to make this work, let's really do it. And let's not just say, what about what you can do for me and what I can do for you." It's
we got to be.
Yeah.
There's no me and I's.
The team, bro. The team aspect took a minute. The team aspect took a minute to really.
Y'all 3 years deep playing on 2 different teams.
And she's a Cowboys fan, and I'm a Washington fan to start off. That's kind of how we started.
Who took the initiative on the counseling?
I think some family advice, like both sides. They said you need it, right?
Yeah.
I never had therapy growing up. Growing up, being an immigrant, coming from another country, like my parents' mindset was survival. It wasn't really like mental health. Like mental health to a certain culture like that, initially it's looked at as a negative thing, right? It's not even looked at. It's looked at as like it's taboo, or like it's a weakness. So it was and again, because when you have a lucrative business in Iran where we're from, and his shit got closed down 3 times. So to the point where my dad never wanted to leave that country, right? Like he was adamant because his brothers left, his sister left, or my mom's sisters left, and then he sat us down. I was like 5 or 6 years old. I remember this like yesterday. He sat us down around our coffee table in Iran, and he goes, "We're leaving Iran." He didn't say we're coming to America. He said we're leaving Iran. And as Baha'is, you couldn't just go to like the embassy, right, and be like, "I need a passport to go. We're leaving." By it doesn't work like that. So Baha'is in Iran are looked at as like Jews did during like Nazi Germany, right? So it was rough. So we had to get smuggled out, right? So we went through a second country in Pakistan, and then in Pakistan we got our shit straight, and we came here because this was the first country that said we were accepting refugees. So that was my parents' mindset. So mental health was like not even on the radar. You know what I mean? It's like we're just trying to survive right now. Like let's not talk about that. But so now for me, fast forward to being married, and like my wife's side of the family, they've been here for multiple generations. So they are much more open about that stuff. So what ended up happening is she was like, I can honestly say, was the one that brought it up, because she got therapy as a kid. You know, her parents divorced, so she got therapy for that.
Therapy?
Yeah. Yeah, have you?
Relationship counselor with old girl.
We're not recording this or anything.
Waste of time, did.
Yeah.
You're like, I got the answers. Just listen to me.
Really, back in the day when I went to it, I didn't know how to communicate. So it really just came down to kind of like how you said, you hold shit in and then you'll just go crazy. And yeah, that's not a good thing. How long y'all went?
To multiple or just a couple?
It was maybe like, really it was probably, I think it was one actually, just one. Yeah, and it was clear like, yeah, let's just go separate ways.
Yeah. No, and that is a reality that you can get from therapy too. And so like we're taking couples counseling, right? And then that shit is couples communication course. Like I'm gonna give it everything. Like anything I've done in my life, I haven't gone half-assed. Like I'm gonna do it right. Like I'm not just gonna be like 5 minutes of discomfort and I'm out. Like that's not me. Like so yeah, so listen, I'm proud of it, man. I'm proud of the therapy. It's reshaped my mind as far as like what is okay and what's not okay, and the biggest thing being communication. So we're in a good place. We kind of went through the lows and we did that together, and we can always say that, like even when we have kids, and I do want kids eventually, but I'm so career driven, like. And
where do you work?
So I teach so my regular gig has always been teaching music, right? Because I got my music degree and I'm a musician.
Like School of Rock type shit.
Yeah, but I do my own. Like I don't work with I don't work with them. I have my own clients. They tried to hire me, but their pay was disrespectful. So
self-employed. You're a boss. I like it.
I'm my own boss, man. Self-employed. I started it right out of college too. You know, like I finished UC Davis, and then I just got right into it. I got hired by a company in DC because I was doing like a study abroad over there, and then I came back and I continued it here.
So is the career driven? Is it career driven in the teaching music field, or is it more so the entertainment teaching podcast type?
The goal is to do. I'm an actor at heart, so I'm shifting my focus into this at 36, and I've given myself a timeline, and I'm going off after, man. I've started improv classes. I love comedy. I've always loved comedy. And so I've been pursuing that. And
you do stand-up?
Huh?
You do stand-up?
I did my first stand-up right in before 21 ended. I went on stage at Laugh Factory.
Is some of your stuff on YouTube or no?
The stand-up stuff, no, but my skits are. They're all on my
Laugh Factory. I've heard of that. Is that's in New York or something?
Sorry, Laugh Unlimited. Laugh Unlimited. You guys in Old Sac. It's a.
Oh, you was out here in Sac?
Yeah, man.
Where's he from?
I am.
No, I didn't. He's from out here, right? You're from out here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know. Damn, you was in our city doing stand-up. When's your next gig? We gotta go.
Yo, I'm writing a lot right now. I'm writing a lot of jokes. But right now, to be honest, the stand-up world is like a completely different lane than sketch comedy, right? So sketch comedy has always been my go-to. Like I've always loved sketch comedy. Mm-hmm. So I have a bunch of satire on my TikToks and Instagram pages, and then but I did my first stand-up because I want to connect with all the comics out here, and then eventually like expand that shit to like other states and SoCal and all that. But yeah, man. So I'm pursuing that, but yeah, I'm realistic though, right? If I did this shit in my 20s, like it would have for sure failed because I was just naive about a lot of things, right? Like I didn't really like.
If you did what in your 20s, your career or the relationship?
Pursue comedy. No, well, pursue acting and all that. I always loved it. Like I did the opera and all, like theater stuff. I did that. Like I did that in like high school and college. Mm-hmm. But comedic acting has always been a passion of mine. But music and comedy for me has always been together. It's like the Persian Adam Sandler, right? Like he's always playing music and doing stand up or doing comedy. So, but yeah, so that's where I'm at with it, man. But enough about me. I feel like this is your podcast. You guys have been asking me questions, but yeah, let's wrap it on this. So, what's coming up for the minorities? What do you guys got coming up next? You can talk about relationships. You can talk about your career, whatever you want to say.
Children, we got children on the way.
Oh yeah, I plan on getting. She's here right now. So
family channel.
I can't give up too much sauce. Yeah, but I can't give up too much sauce. But families are on the way for sure.
Nice.
We're gonna have a family channel.
You're kidding me? You're starting a family channel. Nice. Same name? Same name?
Deleting us. We're going to have to start some more
family friendly channel. Okay.
Yeah, a little something. But all really what we like to do, we just like to do whatever it is we like to do. Mm-hmm. If we want to do a gaming channel next month, we'll do that. If we want to do a podcast, we'll do that. So it really just comes down to what do we want to do? Mm-hmm. Then that's what we'll do.
And that's the beauty with like, in the world we live in, it's like you can sell any type of product. There's a
market for everything.
Yeah, there's a market for everything. There's a video. If you create good video game channels, you can thrive. You like cooking, you can do some cooking things. You like vlogs, you can do that. Pranks, you can do that. So that's one thing with us. We just kind of always focus on what do we enjoy doing, and then it's like try to make the best product possible, and customers will line up as long as it's good. So.
That's
our
awesome.
focus has always just been like, what do we want to do? And then it's like as long as the product's good, we'll have customers. As far as specific things that we got lined up, we actually plan on doing the No Jumper podcast soon. You heard of No Jumper?
Yeah.
So we've been on there before, but being that our account got terminated and everything, we're gonna go on there again. So that should be fun. That's gonna be in like a week or so coming up. Super Bowl week. What'd you think of the playoffs?
Oh shit, man! I was just happy Cowboys lost. That was a win for me. Being a petty Washington fan, that's how we celebrate over here.
Are you from DC?
Yeah, that's where Maryland, right? So Maryland and DC are like 45 minutes away from each other.
Oh,
that's where I grew up. Yeah, I grew up in Maryland. So
White House.
Yeah, that's their White House. But when you live there, it's like Golden Gate Bridge. It's like Golden Gate Bridge. Like you don't want it. You see what I'm saying? Like it's like it's the same thing.
And that's like life. Is that when you're too comfortable with something, it loses its
value.
Its value. Yeah. You see what I'm saying?
You think the White House is regular? I ain't even been there.
You see what I'm trying to say?
It's not. Hey, go for it, man. You guys should do a vlog out in DC. That might be
raid the White House. How to sneak in the White House. You know, we snuck in.
I think they tried that on the 6th last year. It didn't turn out well.
You
know, we snuck in the Rolling Loud.
Which one's
you know what Rolling Loud is?
No, tell me.
It's basically like you know what Coachella is?
Yeah.
Music festival?
Yeah, it's like a festival. But basically, little side note, if you take like a ladder, you can damn near get anywhere. We just walked in with the ladder and they assumed we worked there.
And a hard hat.
Literally.
That's hilarious. Did you post it?
Nah,
not yet.
I mean, around that time, our account got deleted, so we kind of were
okay.
Some other issues, but we did record it though. So eventually, the world will see it. But we have a tendency to really post like once every 2 months. So it's like, next year they'll see the video type. You know what I mean? But like we kind of said earlier with the White House, is that scarcity creates value. The less you see it, the more value it has. When they see us every day, it just don't hit the same. You know what I mean? It tastes better when they starve for it. So, and if we want to apply this to relationships, which we always love to go back to the relationships, sometimes you got to go ghost with your girl. Just leave the country for a month. She'll miss you.
Or she'll cheat. If she's the wrong one.
If she's the wrong one, exactly. No, I think you're right, though, man. I mean, that's what boys' nights is called now in relationships. Boys' nights, or she does girls' nights. And listen, more than happy, like from time to time, go do your thing, girl. Like, I'm good. I'm a homebody. Like, generally, I'm a homebody. Like, I'll be in this studio. Like, I'll spend majority of my day. I'm either writing my skits or I'm like learning the game on the editing stuff, or it's just that's my world now, right? Or I'm teaching
with the whole podcast stuff, or is it just you?
This is as far as this podcast, it's me. I'm the only host. Okay. I tried to get Lucas on here, but he got married instead.
He got married instead.
No, I'm kidding. He's got kids. See, he's got a family now, right? So that was a big influence on me as far as like thinking about kids, because this is the first time I've actually thought like thoroughly about what I want to do like next as far as family is concerned.
Yeah.
Like I told you, right? So my 20s was just kind of like happy-go-lucky. Oh, I love her, which I do. And we got married, but within a year, right? So that was like fast. A lot of people date for a minute before they make.
And y'all hadn't lived together before you got married?
She moved in July. I drove her across country. I picked her up in Virginia. We drove all the way here. That's just not even. Yo, I'm not. Yo, we drove and we went through the South, man. It was great. Here's how crazy it is when you leave the North, because she lived in Northern Virginia, so that's like racism and all that shit is like
it's out there
much more. No, but it's much more tamed. It's not like, you know what I mean, like a lot more liberal people and open-minded.
Is she your same
ethnicity?
Yeah. We're both brown people, but she went down. So we drove down through Virginia. So we went through southern, like we passed Richmond, Virginia, and then we went past south to like the most southern point of Virginia. And as soon as we were at the border, right, of Virginia, crossing into Tennessee, some CHP or highway patrol dude tailed me, right? And he was like, pull over. I'm like, granted, I was going like 5 over speed limit, right? And so he pulls me over. He's like, looks at me. It's like, you realize he didn't even ask me if I like, you know how they started with the question usually, like, you realize how fast you were going, all that shit?
Yeah.
He didn't do any of that. He's just like, license, registration. Didn't say another word. I gave it to him, came back with ticket. Drive better. Yo, he didn't smile. He didn't even smile.
So basically you're saying you feel like that was like some racism going on?
I felt
you don't take accountability that you were going five miles over the speed limit.
I admitted that. I admitted that in the open. But if that should happen in
But if you were a white man, you don't think you would have got that ticket?
I venture to say no. So, but there's no way to prove that, though. There's no way to prove that. So, my word is as good as any.
With like racism, sometimes it's hard to prove. You can just feel it. Have you experienced a lot of racism?
I felt it. I guarantee you I felt it. I definitely felt it shortly after 9/11, yeah. But
yeah, I could imagine.
Yeah. So that was
how old were you when that happened?
I was 2001. So 21 years ago. I was like
20s?
15.
Oh, 15? Wow.
Yeah.
So what were they doing at school? They was just like, people hated you?
School was school wasn't the problem because I had a lot of white friends. So it was like we made a joke of it ignorantly, right? We made a joke of it, like ignorantly, high school kids, like like we would like they would call me like oh, everybody duck, the terrorist is here, like like it was shit like that. Like, but it was like I could like I knew they were fucking with me, like yeah.
Everybody duck.
Yeah. And I had some rebuttals about white people too, so it was cool. But yeah,
get back. Yeah. So if it wasn't school, where did the you felt the most racism?
It was probably like a lot of like going to grocery stores with my mom, or like going to like you know what I mean? Yeah. So like there was a lot cashiers or like just other customers in the store, right?
Yeah.
The Karens. So there was Karens back then. I can't mess with Karens, man. My sister-in-law's name, my wife's sister-in-law's name is Karen. She lives in Ireland.
We don't like her.
I love her, man. She's the sweetest woman. But no, she was in Ireland. Karen isn't a thing, like the way it's become here, right? So it was funny because she was like, "Man, you guys ruined the name. You ruined my name over there." Like, so I was giving her.
Literally, I can't name you can't name your daughter Karen.
Not anymore. Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, that's like naming him Muhammad now. So
you can't name him Muhammad.
You can. It's just you gotta be Muhammad Ali or you gotta round it out to make it.
Everybody duck the terrorists.
It's all love. Everybody, don't take it seriously. Obviously, it's a joke. But yeah,
you so that getting canceled, Paige?
Huh?
You afraid of getting canceled?
I'm not afraid of getting canceled because I'm always honest.
Like that right there, where you go, everybody, don't take it too serious, right? Yeah. That's a statement where you go, yo, the world, don't cancel me.
Yeah. I'm not worried. Listen, I'm not worried. I'm not worried about getting canceled because my followers is weak as fuck right now anyway. So it's not like I got that many numbers. So it's but I might have a different opinion on that.
If you have like a bigger
once it blows up. Yeah, once it blows up.
I've always felt like, I don't like that. Even like that right there, we have to go, people don't, you know what I mean?
But hold up. What about your channel being canceled? How does
our channel, like that's, I think one of the reasons our channel is why it's so great is because we are like the exact opposite. Yeah. Not that we're saying to cancel us, but it's like there is no apology. It's like we're just gonna be us.
Yeah.
But
that's the point. You're being you. You're being unapologetically you. You're not being someone else. You guys mentioned it earlier. You make content that makes you happy, right? So that's so important. And people can see bullshit when it's like when you're acting it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm saying that as an actor, like you can't. I'm a professional bullshitter. Like there's times to play fiction, and then there's times to be you. So this podcast is for me to be me, like, and for my guests to be them, hopefully.
Yeah.
Right? But I can't make my guests say whatever they want to say, like to be 100% on here, right? Some people want to be PC, and that's their choice. Like it's cool. Like I'm not here to like make the guest uncomfortable. But if the guest wants to spit their truth and they're not worried about it, go for it. Right?
That could be a lane though within itself. You could create a whole podcast. The whole premise is to make people feel uncomfortable.
Bro, my whole thing, and I'm going to make a shirt out of this eventually, is purify the mind and purify the world we live in. And that I've been posting that on all my posts, on a lot of my posts. And also it's about like the truth behind that is be your pure self, man. And we were our most purest form when we were kids, right? Because we didn't know any wrong. Our purest self is like between like as soon as we can speak, like 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 up until like 9, 10, 11 when you hit high school, right? Like then it starts then the reality of like all these voices start to actually like resonate with you, and then your opinions start to morph into different things. You start to become your future self. You start to become your adult self, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
But remembering how you looked at the world as a kid, It's so important. So that's where I get that from. Purify the mind, because that's when you think of things like a baby or like a kid, you don't. There's nothing that upsets you. Like there's nothing that makes you like, oh, that was rude. No, you don't even know what that means. Listen, I teach
kids. You don't even think of racism. Racism doesn't even exist when you're a child.
Exactly. Now, am I being naive that racism doesn't exist? Of course it exists. But what I'm saying is, and many people will argue that, right? But what I'm saying is, if everybody uses that mindset, see how much the world will be improved. It cuts out all the fat, the bullshit, the propagandas, the politics, right? All of that is out the window. All is left is what's left is human, right? You're just a human. You're not black, you're not white, you're not Persian, you're not Indian, you're a human, right? And when you're just a human, well, hell, I got a lot in common with you now, right? It's that simple. Religion too, by the way. Cut that out too, because religion can taint people's visions
too. Out Jesus,
bro. I'm not cutting out Jesus. I'm cutting out
Jesus.
I'm cutting out the. I'm cutting out.
Close the laptop. I'm not going to hell.
I'm cutting. It's okay to be spiritual. Listen, it's okay to be religious. It's okay to be spiritual. Do what you want to do. But when it comes to humanity, in my opinion, right, in my humble opinion, pHumblepodcast,
like it divides us.
It can, and there's a big emphasis on the word "can," because if someone is looking at everybody as humans first, then the religion comes second naturally, right? Because then you don't have anything to divide you, right? And by the way, most religions, the foundation of most religions is the same, right? Love your neighbor, do unto others as they do unto you, or as you want them to be doing unto you. It's the same. It's a lot of that's the same, and that I'm a firm believer in. But I think before all that came was the humans. Like humans were put on this earth scientifically, right? We through science alert. we were put on here, and then religions became a thing, and then faith became a thing, and then spirituality became a thing.
But first, we were just people.
Yeah, but we put a name to all that, right? We had it. We had all that, right? We had beliefs. We had the idea of choice. We had the idea of something. We believe in something that's higher than humanity altogether. But that took time. Right? Do you really think Neanderthals, they could have, I don't know. Did you think like Neanderthals like had faith or had like religion? They were just trying to eat, right? Like they were just living in caves and trying to survive, right? But they survived together. They worked like a pack. So they recognized that they were the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the basic needs of a human is the same. We need food, we need water, right? We need sleep, we need we need love, right? We need love. We all need love, man. We talked about it for this whole hour. We need like love is huge. Like that's an intangible thing in my opinion. Like love is something you can't grab, right? You gotta feel that shit.
You can't grab it. You can't grab it.
That's you manifesting it through that. You know what I mean? But that's cool. You can do that. Hey, I'm not even going to stop you. But the point is, there's the love itself, right? It has multiple manifestations. But anyway, not to bore you with all that. My point is, humans first, pure, and if we think purely like that,
love's the foundation.
Man, that's all we need, man. Put that on your new channel. That's family. That's family material right there.
But they want to promote something else. We be telling them.
Like when I put the camera in front of these girls and these dudes, they go off on talking about all this craziness. But really, we just want to promote the love. That's it. You know what I mean?
It is. Listen, you can't make people say things because then it becomes inorganic, right? The point of it all is to be yourself at all times and let people be themselves, whether you agree with it or not, right? Like polygamy, whatever the other one's called.
But then where do we draw the line? Let's say if myself, I'm a murderer. I was just born crazy. You know, we got to create some boundaries.
But think about it like that, though. As a kid, as a 4-year-old, 3, 4, 5-year-old, didn't think about being a murderer, right?
You got some kids that they didn't share their toys. They stole toys. They stole your food at lunch. You ain't get bullied in middle school.
Are you kidding? Oh, for sure I did, bro.
They take your food. They take your crowns.
Yo, you want to hear something? I got bullied more than I needed to. But some of the best lessons, some of the same people that bullied me, I reached out to as an adult, and all I gave them was love. I was like, hey, I connected with them. I found them. You know how like crazy that is, right? Like somebody who probably like
now define bullying. What did they do to bully you?
I mean,
they were like, "Yo,
there were the fights. Like the obvious ones were the fights, the name calling, the being hit in the face with a cast, like an arm cast, like broke my nose in. Yeah.
God damn.
What'd you do to deserve that?
I was just hooping him up.
Just Persian.
He just didn't expect me to be
in the business.
He just didn't expect.
He just didn't come to this hole no more.
His excuse was he was posting me. But yeah, but it was.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you reached out to him like, "Yo."
This one I couldn't find online, but there's a few that I did. But point being though is, I reached out. It's simple, just adding them as a friend. And they see your face, they're like, right? Like that's all. My goal is to say, listen, man, I'm not mad at you. Like I don't hold grudges, right?
You're basically saying turn the other cheek, like Jesus.
There we go. See, we're back to Jesus. That's my point.
Back to Jesus. You're trying to cut Jesus off. We got to bring.
I wasn't cutting Jesus off. I was saying, if you want to go with Jesus, you do you, and I'm all with you. That's all I'm saying. But you can go with Jesus, you can go with Moses, you can go with Muhammad, you want to go with
well, Muhammad got, when we talk about, now we get back to 9/11, they went with no.
So anyway, point being though is yeah, I got bullied and all, but a lot of that, in my opinion, I associate a lot of the values I learned, like as an adult looking back, was in those moments, because I realized like I wasn't happy as a result of that. And in the long run, the bully wasn't happy as a result of that.
Uh-huh.
So how do we find that happiness? And it was before that. It was before he made the choice to bully me, and it was me making the choice to get bullied. Yeah. Meaning I didn't, like, I took it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was. That
was your choice.
That was my choice.
Right.
And I can't blame him for that. I can't blame them for that. I got my ass whooped by a girl once, man. I'm not even playing.
God, Paige, don't talk about that.
I'm not.
Don't talk about that on the internet. They don't need to hear this.
It's okay.
You're a victim.
It's okay, yo.
Sleep with dignity, Paige.
I was a little. She was older. She was in middle school. I was in elementary school. Her brother was in elementary school with me. Him and I got into a scuffle on the basketball court. All of a sudden, I see this chick come through, and she's like a little bit taller, and she's a little bit bulkier. I'm like, oh, like, who are you? Like, what's up? And then she like grabbed me, threw me to the ground. It's like, you ever touch my brother again, I'll whoop your ass. I was like, cool. I'm gonna go home and eat Persian food. I'm good. Like, I didn't even.
How
like,
old?
I was probably.
You said like elementary school.
I was on like maybe 10 or 11. Yeah.
Damn, you got beat up at 11,
bro. I got beat up like. the one that had the worst, like, as far as like the description of it, it wasn't even this girl. It was
another girl.
No, these were two dudes. They were they lived like a house, like a couple houses down from where I live. So we all walked to school back, and so they were walking on the other side of the street. I was walking by myself, and then he was one of the bullies. So they decide to, and they were smoking. Okay, they were smoking a cigarette, and they get me to the ground. Right, they start kicking me and shit. I'm not even. This is just because it's. I'm looking back at it because you asked. They threw me to the ground, kicked me and all that. That wasn't even the worst part. They started throwing the cigarette ashes in my face. Right? Yeah. But the house on the other side of my house, she was a sheriff. She saw it. She came out. And she said, leave him alone. She knew who I was because she knew my parents and shit. She's like, leave him alone. She had a big bulldog with her. She's like, leave him alone. The dog was barking, and so they walked off. And so, yeah, man. But listen, some of my best lessons were learned from these moments, bro. I'm telling you. Like, I'll hug that man right now if I see him. Right? Like, I'd hug him. I'd be like, yo.
In all love.
That's what the guy.
Hey, it's easy. Listen, you take the easy choice or you make the right choice. That's what I always say. And for me, the right choice is the harder choice. And the harder choice is to swallow my pride, swallow my grudge, whatever. I don't like I'm not like sitting here saying I got all the answers. I'm just saying it took me a minute. That's why I'm pursuing my career in my 30s, because in my 20s, I was all like dealing with this stuff subconsciously, right?
Yeah.
But so now I'm good. I'm like
why not just completely ignore him instead of spreading that love to him? Because some people, they might not fight back, but they might just ignore him and just say, just indifferent about him. They're not going to forget the past, but they're not going to let the past affect them now.
Yeah. Because to me, it was a closure. For me, I had to do it because one, I wanted it as a result of, now this is where I'm going to open my arms up even more and tell you, growing up in that environment and seeing that, right? I wasn't too far from Baltimore, Maryland, which it's not, it doesn't have the best reputation, right? So
it gets crazy out there.
Yeah. So I was like maybe 40 minutes from there, but in Montgomery County. So Baltimore's in a different county, but Baltimore County. So it was rough, man. But as a result of that, as a kid, my thinking, like, now I'm starting to get scarred, right? Like, I'm starting to get like mental scars. Mm-hmm. So I decided to, like, okay, I need to fit in with these guys. So I'm going to start doing some of this, right? That was my bullying. But that was my fallacy thinking. I did it once, and that feeling stuck with me to the point where I, like, within the same year that the kid I bullied, I went back to him and I was like, yo, my bad. Right? Like, I apologize to that guy. Like, I did that as a kid because I hated the feeling that I had as the bully. Yeah. So then I grew up and I thought, yo, they must feel that way. Right? Mm-hmm. So that's when I reached out to them. I was like, don't let because listen, depression is real, right? Depression can take lives. It can.
What is depression?
What's what?
What is depression? Like, what is it?
What is it?
It's just like you just feel bad.
Depression, to me, I mean, obviously there's like a psychological definition for it, but
isn't it just a feeling?
There's a clinical, I mean, you can be clinically depressed, which is like, it can be genetic, right? But I'm no doctor, so I'm not going to sit out here and like give like. I think
it's like a mixture of like lack of motivation.
Lack of motivation.
When our YouTube channel got deleted, I'm depressed, bro. Fuck all these videos. I'm gonna just sleep the next week. I'm gonna just play video games. I ain't gonna do shit. Videos is the passion. You lost the passion to do the videos.
Yep.
That is maybe a sort of kind of depression.
No, it's on the right. I mean, the word depression is used. The term is used loosely, right? There's a clinical definition, but there's also having the blues or just not feeling like wanting to do anything, right? Now, some people don't feel that, and that's great. Like, if you haven't dealt with that, it's wonderful. But I'm just saying, like, the more shit you deal with as a kid, it can catch up with you as an adult, right? So that's where, for me, it became big. It's a big deal. I started to realize, like, this, I wouldn't want to get on to even interview my guests, right? At times, or I wouldn't want to go write a song with my band, or I didn't want to teach the kids that I'm teaching. All the stuff I loved, right? And I was like, why is that happening? So therapy, right? A few therapy sessions, I realized that's what it is. And here's the real killer is you start to think about it deeper. You start to think back to your family. You start to think, oh shit, My grandfather had depression. He didn't even know what therapy was, right? Like you start thinking about stories you heard about him or things you've seen. He was always upset, or he's always in the corner not talking. He's always like not wanting to do anything. And you're like, I'm willing to bet he had it. He just never took care of it because it was taboo. You know what I mean? Therapy's taboo. It's a trip, man. But it's also beautiful because I'm making the change for my kids to see that it's okay. Like you can talk to me. We can move forward, right? But anyway,
that's
man.
That's another reason why, like when you're young, like having a good friend group, not just like a social circle, but like a good friend group. Like you said, when you went to therapy, it kind of cleansed whatever that depression was. So it's like, say if you back then when you had like right now, we like me and him, we could do a podcast every week. It's therapeutic just to talk about either what we want to talk about or what's going on in the world. And if we having some sort of depression, we can talk about it. We're like, we could be each other's therapists without going to like clinical therapy. It's a free therapist. And it's like, that's where good friends, good social, like good people that you can socialize with. Yeah, it's key. And that's one thing, like relationships. Like I have a couple homeboys who are getting into relationships and all of a sudden I don't see them at all. They don't even return phone calls, going MIA. It's like,
who's going MIA, Dad? We can talk about it.
I ain't gonna talk about it. It's like when you get into a relationship, I understand like
they prioritizing.
I understand like this is your girl. You're not gonna prioritize the homie over the girl. I understand
every time, Dad.
But it's like if I call 5-6 times, my nigga, you could call back once.
5-6?
I'm just giving examples.
Yeah.
I'm gonna answer every time. I swear to God.
But it's like things like that is you get so wrapped up in relationships. In the relationship, you forget who you are as a person
in his bag.
So it's like relationship. You got to be you. You got to allow her to be her, and then you guys have to know how to come together when it's time to come together
as a team.
That's what's so good about like what we do. We live together, but it's like he has his own personal life. I have my own personal life. And when it's time to come together, we come together, do what we got to do. And then if we're going to play video games or if we just want to be alone until tomorrow when we got to do something else, that's what we're going to do. But you got to know how to be you. And then you also got to know how to be you when you're with other people.
But it sounds like you guys, like just analyzing what you just told me, you guys are open about letting the other one know when you need space. You probably, like, if one of you is like, let's hang out, let's play games, and the other one's like, I'm not about that right now, like, you're open to just telling them, yo.
You don't got a choice. I'm on sticks right now.
Well, that's the thing. We typically like the same thing. So video games is like, that's fun as fuck for both.
Yeah.
I'm really not turning down a Madden competition 2K. I'm not turning down none of that because it's like, that's the true love. But we get the vibe of when the door is closed, I need space. When the door is open,
the door again, I'll open
it. I like it. Non-verbal.
I'll open the door every time, Paige.
Man, you're turning into a bully. No, I'm playing. You're bullying his emotions. He needs some space, bro. No, that's good, man. No, you're right. I think relationships can be great for the mental health. They can also be detrimental if you're hanging out with the wrong people. So
for sure.
Well, cool, man. Plug your shit away. Whatever's left that's not canceled.
Hey, man. OnlyFans, only
cash app, man. zebadiahjuniel, man. Took the cash app. Oh, send me a couple of dollars. Is Valentine's Day coming up? I can use a gift. Cash app, zebadiahjuniel.
Right.
Venmo, same thing.
I got you.
YouTube channel, The Minorities. Appreciate you having us.
Hell yeah, man.
The conversation. Next time we got to do this in person.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And we're going to bring your newlywed uncle to it. Because
he hasn't met him yet either.
Oh, what? All right. So I got some over Lucas. For sure, man.
Gotta make it happen.
But
yeah, man. We'll get it. We'll get it together. Maybe I'll put you on like some of my skits too. Lucas was in one of my skits. And he was, yeah. We did some shit.
Well?
Oh, he's got some skills, bro. He can, really? Lucas has got some, he's just, he always liked English more, so he's a teacher. But he can, he's hilarious.
He teaches high school, college?
He teaches special ed, I think, in high school. Right on. Well, shit, man. This has been The Minorities. All the graphics will be on here, so you'll see, so you can give them a follow.
Nice meeting you, my guy.
Hey, same to you, Jason. Thank you for getting on. Zeb, appreciate it.
All love.
For sure, man. We'll get together in person soon. This is Pej the Maniac. Follow me on all the socials. Podcast. Subscribe. Hit the bell. And we'll catch you guys on the next.
Promote that cash app. Tell them they gotta pay.
Send this man some money.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, man, for sure.